Hey y'all, I'm Kendaya, and welcome to my voice. First off, what I want to say is I am very familiar with both TikTok and YouTube. I've been on TikTok for over 4 years now. I have 2 channels there, and I have been on YouTube for almost a decade now. Um, I think I have 2 channels. One of them's not active, but this one is. This channel is what I'm wanting it to be, is all about the truth. If you look back on my channel, I know not too far, I have a lot of music. I've done a lot of singing. I grew up singing, a lot of karaoke, stuff like that, singing in church. And I still will have that on here because what I have done is I have dedicated my channel 110% to God. Not that it wasn't before, but I really want to focus on that. I want to focus on God, and I want this channel to be about the truth. So I will be talking about topics I usually keep to myself because everybody thinks I'm crazy. That's the best way to put it. But let me tell y'all a little about myself. I am a seer. Not only have I love to sing, I grew up singing in church. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to sing for God. But God has also given me many, many spiritual gifts, including seeing into the spiritual realm. I have seen things my whole life. When I was a little kid, I would see things. I would say, yes, I would say I do see angels and demons. I would say that I see demons, and throughout my life, I've seen demons more. I have seen angels, but I sense angels more. I sense angels more. I physically felt them touch me more. And there's a lot that goes into these experiences and these encounters. And lately, I've been having dreams back to back to back, and I have prophetic dreams as well. And so what I wanted to do is, I'm itching, like I said a few videos back, I want to just start a podcast, and I'm still working on that. But I'm having these dreams back to back, and I really just want to get them out. So the podcast is going to come later. I have my phone, and I have a TikTok, and I have YouTube. That's what I got right now. So I want to share with y'all the dreams that I have been having. As of this recording, today is October 7th, 2024, and about a week ago, I had this dream. This dream was a worldwide disaster. It was a worldwide earthquake, very disastrous, very just causing so much damage and death everywhere. But here's the thing. To God's people, he communicated with them. He said, listen, there are these barriers. There's this protective area. Do not leave this area. So the dream started off with just everybody living their normal life. And slowly but surely the word got out to God's people, from God to his people, the people who believe in him and have the gift of discernment and, recognize the voice of the Holy Spirit, that there's going to be a big disaster. And we need to get in these protective zones. On the ground level, we can't see, where the destruction is going to be or where it's happening or whatever. But we were told at the heart level, God's like, do not leave these barriers. Do not leave this protective zone. So we're trying to spread the word, but scoffers, okay? There's always going to be scoffers. And we have to expect that. But at the same time, as believers, we expect there are scoffers, but we also need to have compassion for them. If they ain't going to listen, they ain't going to listen. It's just the way it is. But so me and my husband was in the dream too. And we just, let me tell you, when I say God made me stubborn for a reason, I was not leaving the protective zone, okay? Everybody's like, oh, you're Sky Daddy, and he's invisible, and blah, 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 blah. The normal stuff that I hear, right? So these protective barriers, I don't leave. I literally got like a blanket and like a blow up bed or a mattress or something like that and pillows. And I was like, I ain't leaving. Meanwhile, the parties are going on. Like, there's parties, and anybody who knows me knows I'm not much of a partier. There were literally like black tie events and people, I think roller skating and people just going on with their lives. That was the hubby saying goodbye for a little bit. He's gonna go run some errands, so he wanted a kiss. But so people are living their lives. There's parties going on, and a family member of mine comes over to me from the unprotected zone. She's in this beautiful black ball gown. It was a black tie event that she was at, and she was trying to get me to come with her. Let's have fun. You've been in here for so long, and it hasn't happened yet. And this family member is a believer. She is a believer, and I'm gonna leave that there because her being outside the protective zone says something. But so she's trying to get me to go, and I said, nope. I'm stubborn. I ain't going nowhere. I'm staying right here. So some time goes by. She ended up leaving with her date. Her date pulled her back. So some time goes by, and it happens. This massive earthquake is finally happening, and you can just hear this eruption of fear and terror and people calling out to God. And in this moment, I definitely felt peace. I felt protected and I felt peace. I was terrified. As someone who's actually I've been in earthquakes before. This was a 10. This was like off the Richter scale type of shaking. So what happened is I'm physically just covering myself because that's what you do in an earthquake, even though we were in this protective area. But then all of a sudden, I get pulled up and out, kind of like I got pulled by the stuff, My physical body is there, experiencing, physically there, but I spiritually got pulled up and out to see what was physically going on. And when I tell you I got to see the earth while this disaster was happening, the earth was flat. It had 4 corners with a protective dome over it. I have been a flat earther since 2019, solid. And I've had my suspicions in high school when we were being told what we were being told what the earth is. Something didn't feel right. So that's what it looked like though. It was flat. It was topical. It had mountains and valleys. I saw the whole earth. It had, all of that. It wasn't a pancake, but it was flat. It wasn't a globe. It was flat. It had the 4 corners, and it also had the protective dome over it. Now, this is what gets me. The protective dome, the firmament dome, if you know, inside when this disaster was happening, the inside of the protective zone, the firmament dome, some of the places in there were being destroyed. But the protective zone, what I physically saw when I got pulled up and out and looking at the earth, the dome, right? So there's the inner wall and then there's the outer wall, okay? That was the space in between the two, all around, was the protective zone. That's what the protective zone was. And what was happening is, the dome, it was rotating. While the earthquake was happening, this massive worldwide earthquake was happening, the dome was rotating, almost like a carnival ride or a record. And it was going really fast, and you can still feel the earthquake happening, and you can hear and feel destruction, like things falling and people passing away. And it was rotating, and that's what I got to see. What my physical body was there, I got pulled up and out to see this rotation while the earthquake was happening. And then it stopped. It stopped. The ride came to a complete stop. And once it did, you automatically heard just the eruption of just crying in fear and terror because people just realize, hey, they were right. And so the place that I was in, to my right, there were other believers there, other people in the protective zone, but outside you could see. Outside of the protective zone, to my right, you can see, and there were people who were dead. There were people who were alive as well. They just couldn't believe it, you know. These were believers that went outside the zone, and these are also unbelievers that didn't listen and didn't care. But then, next to that room, where outside of the protective zone, where I could see people dead, next to that room was almost like a warehouse wall opened up. And there were people in there too. And there you could see people were dead, some people were alive. And at that very moment, the ceiling came crashing down on them. Because we were still in the protective zone, nothing was happening to us. And so my husband was doing something like helping people or working, but he never left that protective zone. So we end up finding each other. He's safe, he's good. I'm glad we listened. And so it's pretty much the end of the dream. The very last thing that I remember is me and my husband were walking hand in hand with our little girl, and he was going to go help some people. And I see, as an adult, death and destruction everywhere. But our little girl, who's holding my hand, who just sees rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and blue skies, and she's playing in the water. And that's when I realized, like, we have to be more like children regarding, like, our faith, you know? Because he's got us. We got to have that open line of communication open with God. Because our bodies are antennas. And when we can't hear, when the connection is cut or muffled or whatever, we don't hear very well. But I'm glad we did listen. But here's the thing. After my dream, like that was the whole entire dream. And this is what I realized after the fact. The other guy, and when I say the other guy, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, the evil side, the other guy, the other side, okay, that's what I mean. Were they working overtime, hard overtime hours to try to deceive people. And him using that family member to try to get me to go to that black tie party was him trying to deceive me to step out of that zone. And I had to turn that family member down. I don't believe the family member made it. I hate to say it. And again, this family member in real life is a believer. And I do know that they struggle. We all struggle. We all have struggles. But sooner or later, we really do have to, sooner better than later, make the decision. But that's what the enemy was using, family members. And he will use that. They will use it. That side will use that. And we have to be, that's where the discernment comes in. So that was my dream. I do have prophetic dreams, and I've had dreams, my 75% of my adult life, prophetic dreams. And I'm in my late 30s now. I did a year and a half ago had a dream where I went to hell, like April 2023. I had a dream. I did post that on both my TikTok and YouTube. You can go back to see that. My husband was in that dream too. And then I've had dreams where we've had tsunamis and we survived. The next video I'm going to talk that I have, another disaster that we survived, that one shook me to the core. But here's the thing. The dreams about me going to hell and all these other disaster dreams, they're real. They're not just dreams. And I know people who have dreams very similar, like running in the same circle. We're not making this stuff up. There are people who have died and they come back and they say, this is real. Like the dream where I went to hell, I physically felt the heat. I physically felt the darkness. In this dream, It was real. With the earthquake, it was so real. We're not making this stuff up at all. So what I wanted to do is share with everybody what's really going on, because there's a whole, it's not just going to be, this channel ain't going to be just my dreams that I have. It's going to be every aspect, what they really put in our food. You know, we all know we're not being told the truth about where we live, who we are, and when we live. You know, there's a lot of holes in their story, you know, and I just want to get to the bottom of it. I am in the truther community. I don't really like to say flat earth. It's just a name that stuck, but it's a topographical, you know, it's the true earth. The true earth. And I'll be talking about that too. I'll be talking about the encounters that I've had throughout my life, and as they happen, I will do that. So I hope that y'all really find this page and this channel encouraging, because I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that has these experiences. I'm not the only seer. I'm not the only one that has prophetic dreams, that can speak in tongues. And these are, when I was younger, people would say, well, those sound like gifts. They sound like curses. They are gifts. And I'm fully embracing it. So please like, share, and subscribe. I really am trying to grow my channels because people need to see and hear the truth. So thank y'all for joining me. Thank you for listening to Kendea's Voice.